On Thursday, a report sanctioned by the Prince's Foundation from auditing firm, Ernst & Young, found Mr. Fawcett had coordinated with fixers over an honor for a Saudi Arabian businessman who donated to Charles's charity. The report was released on Thursday, which coincided with the Court of Appeal's ruling concerning Meghan and the Mail on Sunday. Following the release of the report, Richard Palmer, royal correspondent for the Daily Express, alleged the release was perhaps no accident. He said, "It was perhaps no accident that Charles's charity chose the day of Meghan's court ruling to release a damaging report into the Cash for Access scandal." The investigation by the auditor found Charles's aide had been in contact with so-called fixers, regarding honors for a donor between 2014-18. The investigation did add, however, the activity took place without the knowledge or approval of the Prince's Foundation. Clarence House has previously insisted Charles had no knowledge of the incident. A summary of the report read, "With respect to the allegation of securing honors for a donor in exchange for donations, there is evidence that communication and coordination took place between the CEO at the time and so-called fixers regarding honorary nominations for a donor between 2014-18. There is no evidence that trustees at the time were aware of these communications." Mr. Fawcett resigned last month following the allegations he held talks with Mahfouz Murray Mubarak bin Mahfouz over securing a CBE and a British citizenship. Mr. bin Mahfouz was given an honorary CBE by Charles in a private ceremony in 2016. The probe also found Mr. Fawcett and another senior unnamed employee of the foundation were involved in a transfer of money from the Mahfouz Foundation, founded by Mr. bin Mahfouz, to the Children in the Arts Foundation, CATA, which is semi-defunct. Charles ceased to be patron of the charity in 2019. Dame Sue Bruce, chair of the Prince's Foundation, said the incident had been a difficult chapter but lessons will be learned going forward. A previous statement from Clarence House said, "It is important to His Royal Highness that the charities which bear his name operate to the highest standards, in accordance with rules established by charity regulators. We are taking this opportunity to reinforce guidance to these charities, particularly in respect of their relationships with supporters." The release of the report came as the Duchess of Sussex won her privacy case against Associated Newspapers, who owns the Daily Mail, the Mail on Sunday and MailOnline. The court found the letter published in the paper was private and deeply personal. Prince Charles was acting like any grandparent when he pondered the likely appearance of his future grandkids, but it was weaponized as part of a long toxic royal feud, according to the author who outed him. In an interview on the Today Show Monday, Christopher Anderson stood by his new book's claim that Charles made the controversial skin color comments that were at the heart of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's most explosive complaints about life in the royal household. But Anderson insisted that the UK's heir to the throne only mused about what his future grandchildren might look like in a very benign way. "I mean, here's this beautiful biracial American woman and the world's most famous redhead," Anderson said of then actress Markle and Charles' younger son, Harry, when they got engaged almost exactly 4 years ago. "I'm a grandfather, we all do this," the author insisted, of pondering how future family members will look. But it was turned into something very toxic. It was weaponized, really, by the men in grey who run the palace organization, Anderson insisted. Anderson insisted that the royal family has for years not been a unified entity, with the especially bitter divide between Harry and his brother, William, starting when Harry was a toddler. Each brother's household is part of 3 factions within royalty, with the other belonging to Queen Elizabeth II along with Charles and his wife, Camilla, the author told the NBC Morning Show. And they're all in competition behind the scenes, and constantly pulling the rug out from each other and constantly leaking information, he insisted of the royals and their individual handlers. And so it's a very toxic environment. Somebody has described them as a nest of vipers, and I don't think that's really wrong, he insisted. Anderson said it was predictable that Charles would deny his book's claim, with a spokesperson for the heir apparent telling the Post that it was fiction and not worth further comment. But the author stood by everything in his book, Brothers and Wives, Inside the Private Lives of William, Kate, Harry, and Meghan, which is due out November 30th. "I have been covering the family for 50 years, he told Today. So my sources are solid. I've had them for decades, and tended to them very carefully. So whatever is in the book, there are multiple sources," he said.